If you're a Canadian senior collecting old age security, I need you to do something the moment this video ends. Pull up your bank account and look at your last payment. Because this summer, quietly, without a phone call, and for many of them without any letter at all, a group of seniors watched that payment shrink or stop entirely, and most of them still have no idea why. It wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a scam, it was a deadline they didn't know existed. And here's the part that should make you sit up. For the people it's already hit every single month that passes, now makes it harder to get that money back, and some of it becomes impossible to recover for good. There's a window here and it's closing. What you do before this fall, before September, decides whether you get every dollar you're owed or lose months of it permanently. This affects your OAS, it affects the guaranteed income supplement, and it can quietly change what lands in your account for the next year. Now, the good news, if you're one of the people affected, it is fixable. And I'm going to show you exactly what to check and exactly what to do, step by step. But you need to understand what actually happened first, because if you don't understand the cause, you'll miss it again next year. So stay with me, because the single most important thing to check, the one that decides whether you lose money or recover it, comes a little later, and it's the reason I made this video. I'm Robert. This isn't fear-mongering, and I'm not selling you anything. It's your own money, and a rule most seniors were simply never told about. Let's get into it. Here's what actually happened this summer and why almost nobody saw it coming. Your old age security pension on its own is stable. It doesn't just get cut. And your CPP is stable too. Once it's set, it keeps coming. And this reset does not touch it. So if this were only about OAS and CPP by themselves, there'd be nothing to worry about. But most lower income seniors aren't receiving just OAS. They're also receiving the guaranteed income supplement, the GIS, that tax-free monthly top-up that sits inside the same deposit as your OAS, and the GIS plays by a very different rule. Every year on July the 1st, the government recalculates your GIS from scratch. And it does it using one thing, your tax return from the previous year. So the GIS you receive from July of this year through next June is based entirely on the income you reported for 2025. That's the mechanism almost no one understands. Your GIS always runs a full year behind your income, and it resets every summer, quietly, in the background. Now here's where seniors get hurt, and there are 3 ways it happens. The first, and the most common by far, you didn't file your tax return. Maybe your income was so low you figured there was no point. You owe nothing, so why bother? But if the government doesn't have your 2025 return, it has no way to confirm you still qualify. So on July the 1st, your GIS simply stops. No phone call, no warning, just a smaller deposit or no supplement at all, and a senior staring at their bank account wondering what on earth happened. I've heard from seniors who lost $400, $500, $600 a month overnight this way, money they truly needed, simply because a tax return that would have taken 10 minutes never got sent in. Every year, thousands of Canadians lose months of GIS for this one reason alone. The second way, your income for 2025 was higher than the year before. Maybe you took money out of an RRSP or RRIF, sold an investment, or had a one-time bump. Because GIS shrinks as your income rises, a higher 2025 income means a smaller GIS starting this July, even if your income has since dropped back down. And if that income was high enough, it can even trigger the OAS clawback, quietly shaving your OAS itself. The third way is a life change the system hasn't caught up to yet. A spouse passing, a move, a pension starting or stopping. Any of those can change your entitlement, and the July reset is when it shows up. So if your deposit looked different this summer, it wasn't random, and it almost certainly wasn't a mistake. One of those 3 things happened. And here's why I'm urging you not to wait. There's a clock running on getting it back, and I'll explain that clock and exactly what to do right now. So let's get practical. Here's exactly what to check and what to do about it. First, the check itself. Pull up your bank statements and compare your OAS deposit from before July to the one after. Did it drop? Did the GIS portion vanish? And did you receive a letter from Service Canada back in July? They send a status letter each summer telling you your new GIS amount or that you no longer qualify. If your deposit fell and you don't know why, that letter, or the fact that you can't find one, is your first clue. Now the fix, and this is the single most important thing in this entire video, the reason I made it. If the cause was an unfiled tax return, the solution is simple but urgent. File your 2025 return immediately. Even if your income was zero, file a nil return. It takes minutes, and it is the only thing that restarts your GIS. And if you need it moving faster, there's a specific form. The statement of income for the GIS Form ISP-3026. That lets you report your income to Service Canada directly to get payments flowing again while everything catches up. But here's the part that makes the timing so important, and it's the thing almost nobody tells you. When your GIS is restored, the government will back pay you, but only up to a maximum of 11 months. 11 months and not a day more. So if your GIS stopped in July and you file in August, you lose nothing. But if you let it drift, if you tell yourself you'll deal with it after the summer and then it's the fall and then it's next year, every month that passes is a month of GIS falling off the far end of that 11-month window and disappearing for good. You cannot get it back. That is why I keep saying before the fall, before September. Not because there's some big government deadline on September the 1st. There isn't, and that is exactly the danger. The change already happened quietly back in July. September is simply the line I want you to draw for yourself, because every month you let this sit, you are handing back money you are owed. If the cause was the opposite, if your income genuinely dropped this year compared to 2025 because you retired or a pension ended, you don't have to wait until next July for the system to catch up. You can ask Service Canada to reassess you using an estimate of your current lower income, which can restore or even raise your GIS far sooner. And whether or not your payment changed, do 2 more quick checks while you're at it. Make sure your direct deposit details and your mailing address are current with Service Canada, because if you've switched banks or moved and didn't tell them, your fall payments could go astray. And if your OAS itself was reduced by the clawback, understand that it's based on that 2025 income and will correct itself as your income comes down, and that drawing from a TFSA instead of a RRIF, or splitting pension income with a spouse, can keep you under that line in future years. Now, a real warning inside this warning, because criminals know this is exactly the season for it. When seniors are anxious about their benefits changing, the scam calls and texts multiply. You may get a message saying your OAS or CPP is under review, or that your benefits will be suspended unless you confirm your banking details, your social insurance number, or pay some fee to reactivate them. Understand this clearly. The real Service Canada does not work that way. They will never phone, text, or email you demanding your banking information or a payment to keep your own pension flowing. If you need to check or fix anything, you go to it yourself through your My Service Canada account online or by calling Service Canada directly at 1-800-2779-914. Never through a link someone sent you, and never by handing your details to whoever contacted you first. One more thing to have on your radar as you head into the fall. Your OAS is reviewed 4 times a year for the cost of living: January, April, July, and October. So there's an adjustment coming on your late October payment. It's usually modest, but it means your OAS amount this fall may not match what it was in the summer. And this time, if it nudges up, that's the system working in your favor, not against you. Just don't confuse a small expected increase with the bigger reset we've been talking about. Now, I know that's a lot to keep straight. The July reset, the filing rule, the 11-month clock, the forms, the clawback, the fall adjustment. A lot of you have asked me where to find all of this in one place, so I put it together. It's called the Canadian Seniors Money Playbook 2026, and it covers OAS, GIS, CPP, taxes, provincial benefits, senior discounts, the important forms, and the deadlines, all in plain English, the same way I explain things here. If you'd like the whole thing laid out so you can go through it line by line, the link is in the description. It's robertretires.com/CA. So let me bring it together, because this comes down to a short list you can act on today. 1, check your OAS deposit from after July against the one before, and look for that Service Canada status letter. 2, if your GIS dropped or stopped and you haven't filed your 2025 tax return, file it now. Today if you can, because that 11-month clock is running, and a free community tax clinic will do it for you at no charge if filing is the hurdle. 3, if your income actually dropped this year, ask Service Canada to reassess you on your current income. 4, confirm your direct deposit and your address so your fall payments land. And 5, ignore anyone who contacts you demanding your details. To protect your pension, check it yourself, your own way. Your CPP and your base OAS aren't going anywhere. But the supplement on top, the one worth the most to the seniors who need it most, resets every summer, and it waits for no one. The people who check are the people who keep every dollar. The people who assume it'll sort itself out are the ones who quietly lose months of money they'll never see again. So do the check. And if this saved even one person a payment they didn't know was at risk, send it to a senior you care about. Because someone you know may be looking at a smaller deposit right now with no idea why and no idea it's fixable. I'm Robert. Check it before the fall, and I'll see you in the next one.